So the question we often get, you know, going through the frequently asked questions is, can this thing called edge, which we haven't really defined, but let's allude to it being, you know, the propensity for violence as a man and to be able to step up and you know, hold your own and also be sexual with women. Can this be taught?
Well, I think it absolutely can be taught. I mean, obviously, we're kind of biased. We're going to...
But I mean, using myself as an example, I would probably consider myself slightly more edgy now, but I definitely wasn't edgy. I was that classic, very nice guy.
Yes.
Without edge. And I think absolutely the beautiful thing about humans is you can evolve. Evolution is a very real thing. The only constant in life is change. And you absolutely can, by changing your attitude and learning certain skill sets and learning, you know, different ways to interact with the world, change how you come across.
So if you do different actions, then people are going to perceive you differently.
100% agree. And also, I mean, Neville Ravikant talks about this in one of his videos. There's a good channel he's on, can't remember the name, but he said, look, the past is completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
All you've got is literally right now.
Yeah.
Right? And you can start deciding how you act, and you can start acting in a different way, and then you absolutely come across a different character.
Yeah.
You are playing a different role.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you start to do different things and other people observe you doing different things, then you're going to come across differently as you did before.
You know what? I'd say edge is, in a way, putting yourself first.
I think, yeah, if you had to distill it right down, that is absolutely correct. And it's being a little bit more selfish in a kind of positive way. Being like, no, actually, this is my life. This is what I want to get out of my life. So this is how I'm going to interact with people. This is how I'm going to approach the world. And if people don't like it, well, sod them.
But the simple fact is, if you don't put your own oxygen mask on first and self-actualize and assimilate what you really want in life, you can't fucking help other people, right?
Yeah.
If you're fucking broken from the inside out and your life sucks, how the fuck can you pass that on? I think the greatest thing you can do, Wes Watson talks about this, but he's like, create yourself as that hero version of yourself and actually become that guy, and then bypass, you know, the self and actually pass that on to other people. But you're doing the Lord's work by actually becoming the best version of yourself, because then you're able to pass that on and actually give back to other people. As we're trying to do. Really, what all we're trying to do with all this stuff we do is documenting our own journey in a lot of ways and passing on what works, right?
Exactly. It's work in progress. We're all works in progress.
Absolutely.
So I believe until we die, basically.
100%.
Work in progress.
100%.
Like, so in terms of, is edge something you can acquire? Absolutely. Because I think edge is, a lot of it is attitudinal, for a start. A lot of it is mindset.
100%. It all starts in the mind, right?
Yeah.
You are what you think about.
Yeah. And the first thing I believe that it's important to have is understanding. Firstly, it's an awareness of, okay, so this is what edge looks like. This is what I could be aiming for.
Which we still haven't actually defined. We've kept it nice and murky.
But it's firstly understanding, okay, so this is what a guy with edge might look like. These are some of the things that I could take on. And then you work backwards. It's like, okay, so how do I get that? So if you're looking at, say, Daniel Craig, James Bond, okay, so he's got a certain demeanor. He's got a certain way that he presents himself to women. He's obviously got a certain physique. He dresses in a certain way. He grooms himself in a certain way. So all of those things, you can then log it down and put it into steps and go, okay, so how do I get that? How do I get that kind of quizzical smile? How do I get that kind of unreactive nature?
Right.
But the first thing is having the archetype in mind and recognizing why it's necessary, which is why we keep making all these videos. I think a lot of guys, as we were saying when we were talking about interacting with women, they don't even understand in the first place that when you interact with women, it needs to be in a certain way, because otherwise the woman's just going to think, well, he's just a kind of a normie chump, you know. It's like, he's not earning enough, so I'm going to rule him out for that. Whereas what you actually want to present as is the player who she wants to sleep with first and then ask questions later.
And why do you want that? It's because in life, men and women, we're attracted to novelty and excitement.
Yeah.
And a guy with edge is exciting. He's novel, and he's always kind of pushing the remit of what's possible, right?
And also
and he's showing her a certain journey, right?
Yeah, and also I think that he is presents as somebody who's going to be able to accrue resources.
So basically a winner.
Exactly.
Somebody who's prepared to go to any length to win, and is competitive as a competitive motherfucker. And again, linking this back to my own story, historically speaking, I played rugby to quite a high level, but I was actually quite an anti-competitive person. I'd always be like, oh, it's all good, you know, let's just be friends. But actually, as you get more jacked up on the trend, you start becoming inherently more competitive. But I don't think the goal is to compete with other people. It's to compete with yourself. Are you a better version of yourself across the board than you were last week? Because that's all there is, right? It's you versus yourself in a way.
Yeah.
You've got the low consciousness, kind of loser version, always being like, oh, have the extra hour in bed, you know, eat the muffin, Don't bother with the gym today. And then you've got the hero version being like, no, fucking push it. Why not just fucking push it? Do that extra rep in the gym. Do the extra fucking cold approach. Take the hero version action or take the loser version action. That's what we have within our control. You know, you're competing with other people. It's kind of useless. Use people to benchmark and as inspiration, but really what you're doing is competing within yourself. Are you better? Are you really performing in that moment?
It's a way of life that can be taken on.
Yeah,
you know, it's not impossible for anybody to take on that approach to life.
A lot of it comes down to mindfulness in the moment and just deciding in the moment, what am I going to do? So you see the hot girl walking past, you make that split-second decision. Do you train yourself to approach or not? It's almost doing the opposite of how I think. It's mindfully in the moment, almost picking the hero version action and taking that.
So you could say that edge is a choice in a way.
It's the atomic habit thing. It's a compound effect. You are just simply where we are at the moment, where you are, where I am, is just simply a result of the choices we've made in life, either good or bad.
And you have to continue to make the decision as well, don't you?
That's not just for a week and then call it a day, which we all do. It's like, oh, actually, and again, I think a really good way, you know, I've been listening to this guy called Ganso recently. He's very big on this idea of see life as a video game and see yourself as leveling up skill sets. See yourself as the product, see yourself as this character, and just think about, right, it's complete self-investment. How can I make this character be, what's this hero version? And how do I put the steps in on a daily basis to get there? It's actually very simple, taking the emotion out of it and actually just non-emotionally just going towards that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, none of this stuff is easy. It's not easy even.
But it is literally the hero's journey.
But it's even like you said, I mean, choosing not to have the muffin or not to have the pancakes at breakfast or whatever. I mean, that could be, in itself, that could be a hard decision in the moment.
Absolutely.
You want that sugar, you want that nice feeling that's going to give you, but that's not going to lead you to where, what is the greater goal? You know?
I think it's the Robert Greene thing of having a grand strategy, so having a 10-year plan, 3-year plan, 2-year plan, 1-year plan, monthly, daily plan, and then having the micro actions to actually line up and combining both of those mean you actually get to where you want to go. Most human beings, they just live life on a daily basis in the moment, and they, you know, just suddenly they're, you know, 70 and they're like, oh shit. You know, it's like, it's almost being a bit more strategic with your life. Again, these are the keys to the kingdom. There's nothing rocket science about that. It's just a consistent action that's needed.
Yes.
In the, you know, when you're heading in the right direction. I don't particularly like studying Portuguese or Spanish every day, but every single day I'll do 20 minutes of that, and then over 4 or 5 months, suddenly I can speak the language. It's not rocket science. It's just emotionally, almost, it's the taking the tough decision that you know is the correct decision every time. But I think the way most people live their life is they take the easy decision because it feels good, but short-term gratification is the epitome of why you're not going to get to where you want to go.
I suppose if you imagine a guy who is anti-edge, I guess he would be quite simpy, he would be quite he would supplicate himself to women, he would probably not approach women, maybe he's not in shape.
He's taking all the easy options. The simple instant gratification options, probably.
On its simplest level, what we're saying is, can that guy transform to the guy with edge, which is going to be the opposite of all those things? Like, he takes opportunities, he's in great shape because he's not afraid to take risks and so on. I believe that he can.
Yes, I completely agree. And it's also seeing yourself as a being that can evolve. Because again, I am a firm believer in the past doesn't mean anything, and you are just a product of your current actions.
Yeah, I completely agree with that as well. I think we can often fall into the trap. We think, okay, I am this kind of person. Like, I'm shy, I'm an introverted kind of, well, all right, introversion's slightly different, but you can think, okay, I'm shy, I'm not a people person. But actually, again, it's all down to your actions, isn't it? You could just say, actually, sod it, I'm not going to be that. Tonight, I'm going to go out and I'm going to be the most gregarious person in the bar. And I think we've done that, haven't we?
And if you do that with consistency, you become that person. If you look at it, you know, even if we're just, you know, people are not really buying what we're saying in terms of complete character development, look at actors, right? Actors play different roles. Al Pacino, as he is on a personal life, is not the characters he plays. He's not Scarface. He's not whoever he's playing. But you can absolutely step into the role of playing that character. And if you do that with consistency, you become that character because you are just the byproduct of your actions. Plan your day and just think about every action you're doing. Is that adding to where I want to go? Is this hero version of this character, or is it detracting? It's not that hard. It's just pausing in the moment and going, why am I doing this thing? Right? And almost like, again, Ganso talks about it. He's like, if you're not doing actions towards this hero version of yourself, what the fuck are you doing with your time?
But to play devil's advocate for a second, I saw a really funny meme yesterday, which was this, it was a picture of a dude, and it was like, in order to find your life partner, and I sent it to you, and it's like, there's this whole list of about 20 things that the guy's got to do, like lift, you know, be lean, be you know, earn a good wage. And there's a picture of a woman, it basically said, Yeah, just don't be a land whale, and then it said optional. And so, what about playing devil's advocate? It's a joke, but it's also kind of true. So, what about the argument? Well, why do we as men have to think about all this stuff? Why is it? There's so much to think about. It's so complicated. There's so many nuances to it. Whereas with a woman, she can just be cute and that's it.
We are the performing monkeys of the animal world, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, since the dawn of time, like the whole reason people get on stage and thrash around instruments is to impress women. It's all about performative action.
Yeah, it is true, isn't it? If you are a hot, young, attractive woman in her peak fertility, so 23, 24, whatever.
You have extreme power.
She has enormous power. In fact, somebody used to call it being a genetic celebrity. It was almost like they're like the rock stars of the dating market.
I would say
for a period of time.
I would equate a 19 to a 23-year-old woman in her absolute physiological prime to the equivalent of almost an A-list male celebrity.
Yeah.
In terms of the effect the power she has.
So is that fair? No. But what are you going to do? That's the way it is.
Again, I think a good way to kind of not get offended by this and not get hurt by this, because guys seem to take it very personally, is just look at evolution, just say, you know, we're conscious as human beings. And again, that's amazing being conscious as a human being, because you have the decision to become the hero version of yourself if you want to do that and you have the discipline to do it. So yes, we have to evolve. I don't understand though why guys wouldn't want to become, you're born into this playable character. Why wouldn't you want to have this character as the ultimate version of itself, like with the ultimate power, right? As just doing it for yourself, and there's a side effect of that, leveling up for yourself. You also get boundless options with women. Why wouldn't you do that?
I don't think it's a bad thing at all, because I think
it's
actually
amazing. We're so lucky as men we can work on these areas of value, and it's actually a very small part of the equation.
Because we can self-actualize, which is amazing. And women can as well, but it's just that we are kind of compelled to, because if we don't, then we just end up sitting around in our bedroom on our own.
But also, let's be honest, like if a girl goes to the gym, works on, you know, gets loads of degrees, becomes very dark triad, you know, very charismatic, but she's not particularly attractive physically, she's still fucked. If I was a girl, I would not want to mate with a fucking black pill dude, because his mentality is loser victim. Let me just do nothing with my life. Why the fuck would a girl want to be with a guy like that? He's not a fucking winner. There's no surprise they don't get women. They're not willing to go after it in life. Like, what, you've got one life.
I think it is, and I think it is very much the male imperative to go after
it. That's what testosterone's for, right? So the solution is, if you're black pill and you're low testosterone,
get on the trend.
Get jacked up on the trend. And but I honestly believe if we took if we took mine Waffle Mensch and a load of his cohorts, and injected them with loads of anabolics, they wouldn't be sitting around talking about black pill shit. They'd be out fighting, charging around, snagging women in bars, going mental, right? They probably would, because they're jacked up on hormones. We are just millions of balls of cells and neurons firing. Well, if you jack those up with the lifeblood of masculinity, which is testosterone, you can't help but go after it in life.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that.
There is another aspect of this, isn't there? You know, we're saying, well, why are men finding it dating difficult? And as I say, I think it's a two-headed beast. On the one side, you've got, yes, women's expectations, etc., etc. Why is that? Well, could that be linked to the fall in testosterone that we know is happening in the West?
Probably a big thing.
Or not in the West, sorry, globally.
You've got all the things mapped out you need to work on. Why wouldn't you work on those things?
Yeah, I do think there is sometimes an entitlement with some guys, actually.
Massively.
Because people talk about female...
I'd say the whole black pill generation is quite entitled.
Yeah, because people will talk a lot about female entitlement, because she's like, yeah, he's got to be 6 foot, he's got to be earning 6 figures, all that. And there may be truth in that, but there's also this male entitlement as well, of like, well, it's almost like guys think that they should just get a hot girlfriend, or they should be able to sleep with hot, attractive women without really doing very much. And if the woman reject them, then it's kind of the woman's fault for having their too high standards. It's like, no, you've got to meet them halfway, right? You can see why the women aren't sleeping with them.
100%. It's not hard. It's when you can look objectively at someone else's life, it's very easy for us to diagnose, but it's very hard. Self-awareness is a very hard skill to cultivate. You can understand why these guys can't really see.
Generally speaking, yes, the dating market is hard, but generally speaking, if a guy's in shape, if he's switched on, if he's about his business, if he's well dressed, if he's well groomed, if he's ticking all these boxes, is he going to be an incel? It's very unlikely.
There's no chance.
It's very unlikely. So you've got to, yes, conditions out there are tough, but you've also got to look at yourself. And ultimately, you only get one life. You've got to max it out for yourself, because you've got to be like, okay, I did everything I could, you know? And if at the end of your life it's like, look, I'm super jacked and I'm super, you know, I've done all this stuff and I'm still an incel, then okay, you can die on that hill. But it's very unlikely that's going to happen, because when you self-actualize, actually, women still want to meet cool guys.
The black pill seems to be very much a symptom of, again, the Western world, and it goes back to that old phrase, which is good times create soft men. They don't really have to work. They don't have to get after it in life. you don't get the black pill in Ukraine and Russia and you know, Latin America. Guys are willing to go after it more. So it's a symptom of the West. And again, it seems to be the Anglosphere dating market seems to be the most messed up of all time.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good waffle. What was the question?
Quick one. Myself, Les, and Troy have produced the linchpin course to take you from nice, innocent boys to highly sexual men with unlimited dating options. The Edge 3 is coming. And then the Edge 3 plus Bogota Bootcamp, which is the crazy kind of graduation bootcamp, anything goes bootcamp, night game, day game, grey area dating app game, anything goes in March 2024. It's going to be absolutely amazing. This has been a long time in the pipeline. Myself and Troy have redeveloped the previous Edge course, and we're combining 25 years worth of experience in the elite men's dating industry to bring you a course which is going to change your lives. We've got some of the world's leading experts for different areas. The linchpin areas, sexual shame, developing sexual confidence, Mr. Bonaparte, elite sex coach for men, and we've got Dave Lee, the male hormone optimization side of things, who bring in vast amounts of knowledge, and a host of other experts, myself, Les and Troy, coaching you every step of the way with developing the cold approach and the dating process as well. It's going to be incredible. Get in touch, info@jamestusk.com, include your WhatsApp number and the title Edge 3 in the email. We'll see you there.